statement of objectives that we
Yeah, exactly. And again, just so you understand, when you say our response, it really wasn't our response. It was really CCA's response for, I guess you could say kind of like for us, but we didn't prepare.
Well, it includes us because that's
Right.
the way ICE wants this
Right.
structure, is an agreement, an intergovernmental agreement between ICE and a local community.
Okay.
And that allows communities that may have facilities, such as Kankakee, for example. They have a jail in Kankakee that they submitted as part of the response for this project. So in that case, there was no private provider involved because Kankakee is in the business of providing a jail, or Kankakee County.
Yeah, right.
So,
Ma'am, we didn't get your address. She didn't. What was your address, Karen?
Yeah, I'm actually in Lockport.
Oh, you're in Lockport. Okay. All right. Well,
yeah, Freedom of Information request form.
Yeah.
Contact the village clerk and we'll make sure you get everything.
okay, Mark.
Good evening, Mayor Einhorn. Just a little bit of information. Mark Rose, 25641 South Dixie Highway. From my understanding, the location of where this facility will be going in is directly through my property, directly east of where I live at. Just for information like that, if you want to go to www.cca.com, they have a very good interactive map that shows probably what this facility is going to look at. You can look at the scope of what we're looking and talking about here this evening. Very good, very interactive. You can see what is there. Looks typically like some buildings out in the middle of a field and stuff with barbed wire and a fence around it. So, you know, my second comment on that is we're actually talking about a detention center, which could be called a prison, simply because there's 500 to 700 beds going in here. From my understanding, that half of those people that would be going into this facility may have felony records. So what that classifies them as felons, which I would believe that 250 or 300 people like that would be classified as such, going into a facility like this. I don't think that we really want to have people with felony records, or at least not at least convicted felons yet at this point, being within walking distance of schools, residential areas, things like that we've got in our south side of the village like that. So just information for you to look at. Again, www.cca.com. Very good interactive app, man.
I think that there's also one thing that you also may, in Mark being the president of the school board, it bears discussion, or at least passing along the information. As of this moment, unlike many other industrial development or economic development projects, there is no, they have not asked us for any kind of economic incentives to locate here. None whatsoever. So it's a straight up purchase, you know, build it, all that kind of stuff, which means the property would be totally taxable, in which case, by my calculations, the school district would be the benefactor to the tune of probably $1 million a year in tax money. So it's you know, again, it has many faces. And as long as we're talking about money, and I'll be kind of speak to your point a little bit, the three primary potential ways that the village could benefit financially from this is real estate taxes, one, based upon the value of the property in the building. Two, the current notion, I guess, if you will, of how the process will take place is ICE pays a per diem. Everybody knows what the word per diem means. Dollars per day per person that's being housed. That's agreed upon between, I guess, the three of us. We get paid by ICE. ICE, we pay CCA. We get to keep some small portion of that. I don't know whether it's a nickel, a penny, or $5 per person per day. I have no idea. No number. I've never heard any number. If they've only talked about per diem, but we've never heard, and we've never been able to discover if anybody else is getting something like this, and I don't know if they are. So this is, again, something that we have no knowledge about as far as the amount. And then the final thing is, whether you know it or not, For every person in this room that is a resident of the village, we get a distribution of money from the state of Illinois based upon our population. So, and that right now, rough numbers, is about $120 a person per year. Per year. Local government distributed fund, which is your state income tax, motor fuel tax, and local use tax are all distributed by population. So if you take X amount of people, however many they're going to have housed there, times $120, that is what the village would potentially wind up with every year in additional dollars. So you have real estate tax, you have per diem, and you have state distributed dollars based upon population. And that's, my numbers put it, you know, probably in the $500,000 range, something like that. Not positive the exact amount, but that's kind of numbers I have in my mind. Whether it'll actually be that, again, as we said before, subject to change. I have no real idea. Mrs. Hadley.
My name's Susan Habacher. I live at 1065 Main Street in Crete. And just two very brief, one comment, one question. First comment is in point number 1 in the handout. We say in late 2010, the Village of Crete was approached by the CCA to gauge the village interest. I guess my question is, if the village was approached by CCA, who was actually calling the shots in this process then?
Well, we have no idea of what ICE was looking for, or even if they were even looking at all. We were not looking for, you know, like scanning the websites to see what kind of governmental bodies may be looking to do something like this. They literally just showed up here one day and said, or made a call, I don't remember which, and said, we'd like to come in and talk with you about this.
We think you're a good location.
We think you're a good. We think you're a good location.
So the initial contact was from CCA.
That is correct.
Eventually ICE became involved.
Well, CCA knew of the project that ICE was looking to do.
Because they're involved with ICE on a regular basis. We are not. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's how it actually started. Now, did you have some other?
No, that's it. I know the village looks at every project that comes its way, but I just wonder why you entertain the possibility that this might be a good fit for Crete.
Well, and I'll tell you why. Because when we went to visit a CCA site in Leavenworth, Kansas, the site, which is way bigger than what this is, I want to say, Daniel, how big was that site? 1,800 or how many beds in that? Remember?
There were 1,200 there at the time.
1,200. It was a 1,200 bed facility, and it was a, I believe, a Marshal Service
U.S. Marshals.
facility, and it was in the middle of a industrial park with buildings all around it, and quite frankly, probably from houses from maybe here to the post office away from it. So when you go to a place like that, and you know, you walk around on the inside and you look at the facilities and you say, hey, you know, there's industrial buildings here, there's a car plate repair over there, there's this over there. Does this look like something that would fit, you know, in an area that we have kind of designated for industrial?
There was also a college across the street.
There's a what now?
College across the street.
College across the street. And they're coexisting with really no issues. So you say to yourself, this could potentially work, and it's really nothing more than just a little bit of intuition and observation. So that's how it really kind of started. Yes, ma'am, here in the green.
Mary Monica Murray, 1611 Austin Avenue. I'm going to just say my 2 cents is that I hope that you will reject this. Just in all seriousness, this is a bad idea all around for a variety of multi-level reasons. My request is a copy of the proposal submitted to ICE, which I believe you said was in November, December. Requesting a copy of that.
Right. Okay. And we have you do what we asked the rest of the people to do? Okay.
And then the other thing is, you talked about the approval or rejection thereof. What is the process that the village goes with this? Who has final say? Who gets to reject this, or who gets to approve it?
Well, we would. And again, remember, there's going to be 2 agreements.
At least.
At least 2 agreements that we know of. and again, this is just intuition because we've never been down this path before.